Let's head to Austin, Texas to check out a school called Alpha. It's a really radical experiment, costs parents $40,000 a year, and it's all built around one huge, kind of controversial idea. What if we let AI run the classroom?
Right, that's the whole premise here. The entire school is designed to answer that one provocative question. What happens when an AI, not a human teacher, is in charge of the lessons? I mean, that's an idea that could completely flip everything we think we know about school. So let's see how they're actually pulling it off.
So let's dive into this pretty unconventional model, because when you walk into a classroom at Alpha, you notice something right away. The adults in the room? Well, they're not what you'd expect. In fact, nobody calls them teachers.
Okay, so the school day is basically split in two. The mornings are all about academics. Students spend a couple of hours plugged into AI-driven software for their core subjects, science, math, reading. But then in the afternoon, the screens go away. The focus completely shifts to workshops led by people, centered on practical life skills, things like public speaking and even financial literacy.
So how does this whole AI learning thing actually work? Well, imagine this. Every single click, every keystroke a student makes is tracked and guided by the AI. This means there's no more keeping up with the class. Every student just works at their own speed on a curriculum that is completely personalized to them.
So that brings us back to the adults in the room. If the AI is handling all the academic stuff, what exactly are they doing? Well, this is where Alpha really tries to redefine the role of an educator. They introduce a totally new title, the guide. And here's the really crucial part. A guide's job is not to teach academic content. The AI does that. Their role is to encourage students, to motivate them. They're there to be a mentor, a source of support, focusing on the kids' personal development, not just their test scores.
And you might be worried that personal connection gets lost in all this technology, right? Well, the school puts a huge emphasis on it. Every single student is guaranteed 30 minutes of focused, one-on-one time with their guide every single week. It's a non-negotiable part of the program.
So what does it feel like for the adults actually working in this system? One of the guides, Luke Phillips, he puts it this way. He says, "I don't think it's replacing. I think it's just working in tandem." So from his perspective, the AI isn't getting rid of the educator. It's just a new kind of collaborator.
Okay, for all of this innovative promise, this new model for education comes with a massive catch. And that brings us to the price tag, the real $40,000 question.
The starting tuition at Alpha is $40,000 a year. Yeah, that's a number that immediately puts this whole revolutionary model way out of reach for most families, and it raises some pretty serious questions about who gets access to this kind of thing.
And that cost, it's really at the heart of the whole debate. On one side, you have the promise, right? Students are testing the top 1%, they're getting truly personalized learning, and there's a real focus on life skills. But on the other side, you have the problems. That insane cost, for one. Plus, there's a lot of skepticism from traditional educators who are worried about taking the human element out of teaching. And, let's be honest, these AI models are still pretty unproven. We just don't have any long-term data on how this is all going to turn out for these kids. But despite all the skepticism from the outside, for the people actually in the system, the feeling seems to be overwhelmingly positive. You ask a student, like Smith Adrian, what they think of it, the answer is super simple and direct. The program is amazing. So all of this leads to the biggest question of all, really. Is this the future of education? Is Alpha actually creating a blueprint that could one day work everywhere? Or is this just destined to be a high-priced experiment for a very select few? And make no mistake, this thing is growing. Alpha was founded way back in 2014, and today it's operating 16 different campuses. It's got support from some very big backers. So this is not just a little one-school experiment anymore, it's an expanding network.
The founder, Mackenzie Price, she has a really clear vision for this. She says, "What I hope that Alpha can be is an example, an inspiration, and help families understand that this model of education is something that can work." Her goal isn't just to build a successful private school, it's to prove that the whole model can work.
Which brings us right back to that central tension, doesn't it? With its huge price tag and its unproven methods, can a school like Alpha really become an inspiration for all of us? Or is it always going to be a fascinating but ultimately exclusive experiment for just a few? That's the question we're all left to think about.